Welcome to Nostalgia Pilots, a Mobile Fighter G Gundam podcast that should have stayed home and snuck out for snacks. I'm Hugh.
I'm Jurd.
I'm Jason.
And I'm Spence.
And we're here to discuss Mobile Fighter G Gundam Episode 33, Emissary of Darkness. Chapman rises again.
Okay, so, I mean, we get extended intro from the announcer guy who tells us everything will be revealed this episode, and of course nothing is. But, well, a little bit is, I suppose.
They did finally acknowledge the aggressive escort of Domon Kashu for the first time ever that I can recall.
Yeah, but what I found interesting is the montage. I think it actually comes after the announcer, but the montage of Chapman murdering a bunch of people, and it actually did it not seem like he was just killing the other no-goodniks? Like, I swear I saw the Cobra guy go by with his head explode. Like, I wasn't sure if that was supposed to be a compressed history, and that's how they turned them all into DG, like, baddies, or if it was just that they were reusing footage and they, removed Doman and the Shining Finger killing these guys and just put, John Bull or whatever it is in.
Yeah, I think you're just not supposed to worry about that, but he beat a bunch of other people in the tournament, despite his massive handicap of being dead before it started.
Yeah, I really think that it's like we've seen previously, where for some reason defeated mobile suits can just come back. Like, I guess if you've got enough money to repair, you can stay in the fight. Like, and so I think that's why we saw a lot of those bad goodniks, like, getting destroyed by the Gentleman Chapman.
It's a lot like the WWF having a storyline in which zombies come back and get to fight some more. Like, it's a combination of the ability to raise the dead and having the guy in charge be like, it'd be cool to see him fight.
But, like, it feels like that, like, what happened in England in, like, episode 12 or whatever it was, like, that's public knowledge. That everyone's like, oh yeah, this happened. It was a very sad story. And Chapman's back. And we're mildly curious about how that happened, but no one's really asking any questions.
And also, like, no one's talking about the attempts on people's lives. I know they changed the rules so you could attack the cockpit, but these guys are going for people outside of these matches, and everybody's just like, meh. Like, even taking hostages, so to speak, like.
Yeah, they're like, that's unsporting.
Oh, well. Like, also,
well,
their disguises need work.
Okay, hold on, though. We should step back, because there is tension in the British camp. We do get... Sorry, what's his name? Mr. William? I have it written in.
Sir William and Sir Whitney, because everyone...
Sir William and Whitney, because we need all the witting names.
Yeah.
Quite.
So, okay, fine. But Sir William is there and concerned. He's like, no, we can't move forward with this. This is dishonorable. And they do kind of play the, like, British people are all into chivalry card there for half of a second.
The thing is the thing that William's upset about is that, like, they keep scheduling the John Bull Gundam for extra matches. He's like, we should protest. This isn't right. They're like, we shouldn't have to fight this much. We should go back to the colony.
Oh, is that what he's actually... Okay, I missed that. That was his concern. Because, yeah, spoilers, that doesn't go well for Sir William.
Well, if you're ever in a situation where you have to ask, did you bring me out here to kill me? Spoiler alert.
Okay, well, we're getting ahead of ourselves because after so it's revealed that there's tension in the British camp, but then the saddest part of the episode, not even the death of Sir William, the death of the Viking Gundam without even being named within the fight. Like, I had to go and look it up to be sure, because it comes out with some cool moves. It drops the boat, fantastic. Or the boat turns into shoulder pads or something. I didn't really get how that worked. But then it has Dragon Breath. Sweet. Mm-hmm.
It did have some upgraded moves this time from the time where it just threw a bunch of oars at Schwartz.
But they don't even, like, oh, look how well the Norwegian Gundam's fighting, or nothing. He just basically dies an anonymous death.
Yeah, he just sort of gets, blown up because they needed to show Domon's extra special move this episode, and he wasn't doing any other fighting.
My thing is,
this was a new move too, and it's just kind of like anticlimactic in my opinion.
Yeah,
because sorry, go ahead, Jason.
No, I was gonna say the Viking Gundam did better throwing oars. Like it did better throwing oars. Like it gets wrecked this fight. It should have threw oars. I feel like it changed its game plan up, and that wasn't good.
To be fair, we didn't see what the first half of that fight looked like. For all we know,
the first 30 seconds, you mean? Because they timed it and said, this match is over in 53
Oh, yeah,
seconds.
That's right. Okay, so I assume Domon very rapidly came in an inflatable boat, and then they had like a boat fight for the first 30 seconds. But I totally agree with you, Spence, that the Heat Fist or whatever it was called, like, we don't need a monster of the week. He doesn't need to have a fist every week. It doesn't need to be like the Mega Man move. Or at least make it like Mega Man in that everyone he defeats, he comes back with a new fist that's based on that. So like, or fist or whatever next week. But
that would be every fight, like the Gundam blows up into little light orbs and he has to absorb them to gain their power.
Tell me you don't want to see one of these Gundams jumping on a giant Gundam dog so that it can get to the upper platforms.
Wait for it. It's coming.
So this is all a side distraction, though, because in reality, this episode really belongs to George. And we do get quite a bit at this point of... I actually really like the George stuff, but I'll admit that every time... what's her name?
Princess Maria Louise.
Every time she's on screen, I kind of just tune out. I'm like, oh, I don't need to deal with this. She's got that high-pitched voice, and she's always complaining about something.
Yeah, she's definitely falling into that annoying kid vibe, even though I know she's not supposed to be like a kid.
Well, I think that's part of it, too, is that she really strikes you as like an age difference with George himself, where if George was even, interested, it's like that's not super appropriate.
Right.
But it could be also an arranged marriage kind of thing, and so she's super happy about it. George is like, all right, I guess, but I'm gonna say no to a lot of things until after I'm done fighting as a Gundam fighter. I can't have any entanglements while I'm fighting. It will just distract me. I'm sorry, Princess Marie. That's just how it's got to be until I'm retired.
You see, but that's, again, here we are finding a better show within the show, because what I would then like this show to be about would be like just the French court and the intrigue around that, and how do knights work when you have Gundams, and like what does that look like, and like the whole peerage, like you may not be a duke, but you have a Gundam, so that's got to bring some weight to the table when you're in.
What you need to do is just let us write a new Gundam show.
And there needs to be a Gundam with a giant, like, mechanical fan that it can put in its face to send messages to the other robots.
I feel like
no, it needs to be like one of those scroller things, and then but it would be in like the the QR code, and then it would the visual on the other Gundam would translate it into their language, so then there wouldn't be a language barrier, and you wouldn't be like, why can they suddenly read Japanese or whatever.
I feel like if you want the answer to what happens in a Royal Knight-esque type situation with robots and mechs, that's called Escaflowne.
Okay, and there's two ways.
Yeah.
It's called Escaflowne, and it's also what's the one with England? And they take over Japan.
Are you talking about Code Geass?
Code Geass, yes.
Yes, and there's that even comes doubled with cool ocular powers. I look you in the face and make you do anything I want. One time. Hope I don't need to manipulate you again.
Mm-hmm. Because what if Evangelion was also Death Note?
Yeah, basically. And the goal is to kill your father.
Well, it's anime. The goal is always to kill your father.
They're the worst parent.
Speaking of murder, though, okay, so before we get to the murder, actually, what brought exactly... What's her name again? I've already forgotten. This is how much brain space.
Miss Marie.
What brought her to the embassy in the first place? Like, why was she over at British camp?
So she was bored in the colonies, and she wanted to come and see this this competition too. So her servants couldn't say no, so she hopped a spaceship and landed against the king's wishes. Because he's like, what are you doing here?
I need to see that Zeppelin ride. Like, I need to see her Huckleberry Finning her way onto that space Zeppelin to get to Earth.
Well, I mean, I'm sure she has one where she's just like, bring me to Earth now.
But essentially, she is Dorothy levels of bored.
Yes, except without the murderous intent.
Yeah, she's like,
but how does she end up specifically? How does she end up specifically in the British camp, though? Because she's like wandering around.
So, if you paid attention, no, I'm just kidding. I'm just right.
I was there. I just don't.
So, George and the king were already coming out of the embassy anyway, and she's like, "Where are you going?" "Well, I have to go to the English consulate because I need to talk to them about their fighter." And she goes, "All right, get in. Bye, Dad." And as they're driving off, they see Domon. Right. George says, "Stop the car." They have the conversation, and nothing to see here, drives on.
Right. Meanwhile, Allenby discovers bubble tea.
And decides that she doesn't like it, and this is the one thing that I don't like about Allenby.
Yeah, I have to say, again, this episode, Allenby doesn't get a lot of screen time, but what happens is pretty boss when it does.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that Domon's just like, I'm gonna go find some rats. Bye.
Let's just go hang out over here by this embassy. Yeah.
Yeah. But then, George and Miss Marie, they get shown into a waiting room while Sir Whitney, is it Sir Whitney or Sir William? All the wits.
Sir Whitney.
So Sir Whitney is having a mysterious conversation with someone who we don't see, but says, take care of Sir William, won't you? And because Marie is Marie, she's just like, I'm bored. I'm going to go out to the garden.
Well, she's like, how dare they make us wait?
Wait, don't they know who I am?
Like, they weren't expecting you.
Yeah, you weren't invited, so I don't, anyway.
But here's where I have to give Marie a little credit. She has got to be reading some major murder mysteries in her boredom, because she notices that something's going on in this pagoda, this shadowy pagoda, goes over and picks up so many details in the dark. Does she have cybernetic eyes?
Yeah,
it's possible.
That distance, to be able to see that ring at that distance and be able to identify it not once but twice at range was pretty
impressive. Ring. She sees that something happens, and so Sir William does not have a heart attack. She sees not only that he was attacked, but kind of how he was attacked.
Which is like a pressure point thing to the neck, or I didn't.
Well, so the way that I interpreted it was the DG cells have given him an ability to do electroshock out of his fingers, which would make sense if you're some kind of conducting element with the DG cells. And so basically, instead of going here, he should have gone lower towards the heart to shock the heart, but he shocked it in the neck.
Yeah, I just kind of had assumed that he had either crushed his windpipe or something.
I mean, that's possible too, but with the little lightning thingies, that's and the later explanation of no, he didn't just have a heart attack.
Look, guys, look.
No, Rain, the people who poisoned you did not, like, have the guy that was protesting their actions die of natural causes.
Like, honestly, it's really just written off just like Schwartz's ability to come out of shadows. Like, it's fine. Like,
to rise out of solid concrete where there was
just, you know what I'm saying? Just, if he's got electric eel shock powers, it's fine. It's probably some weird secret technique. Like, they don't try to explain it. It's just
this one, much more than any of the other Gundams that I've encountered, just kind of plays that, and it's the martial arts aspect, I guess, plays that magic in just a little bit. Like, there's a little bit of a, and I guess also we'll see it appear later, but the Shuffle Alliance symbol on the back of George's hand, like, there's no real explanation. It's not like nanocells or something. It's just like magic part.
Like, when he pulls out or when he starts to get ready to fight whoever's attacking Miss Marie, that's when his Shuffle Alliance emblem starts going.
Well,
what's going on?
So Miss Marie, seeing the murder and kind of realizing something horrible has happened, gasps or something to that effect. At which point, Chapman explodes through the wall in one of my favorite sequences.
Yeah, Chapman hears her, bursts through the wall like the Kool-Aid Man, and that's when George comes up to fight him.
But wait, she responds with the best line of the episode. How rude. This man has just murdered somebody, and you're spying on him. Rudeness is not the problem here.
So rude.
Gosh, that makes me think of what is it? Full House.
Rude.
Yeah, totally. How rude.
Like, I need to see the short of Chapman trying to figure out exactly where they are. Like, he's busted in like 4 different apartments or little suites to get to them. He's like, bam, ha, sorry.
Excuse me.
My bad. Sorry, I thought you were my enemy. My bad. All right, what room? It was 3rd floor, 4 rooms down. Ha ha, bam. Oh, I'm so sorry, ma'am. Like, it's just this gag as he's working his way up, and they're just like,
say, oh yeah, oh no.
Yeah, and it's just like, we're in the suite. It's on the top floor. Like,
well, Chapman doesn't actually speak except for during the Gundam fight, ready, go sort of sequence. So I'm not sure that he actually can. Although he does have some sweet moves.
Well, he has some sweet moves, and so does George, because when George comes to protect the princess, Chapman like goes into Mega Fist mode, sort of Chun-Li style, and George actually does a sweet catch. Like, that was pretty fantastic.
Yeah, he does catch his fist.
Not
He
enough.
also does like a good flying kick.
Yeah,
like he pressed A and B just together at just the right time.
Just the time.
Yeah. He obviously doesn't know how to do fireball motion in 2 punches because he barely uses rose bits in this episode. Like, I only got to say it once.
Barely? I would like to contend that he uses it 3 times in this episode, and he has only ever used it once or twice in previous episodes. So you are incorrect, sir.
Like, it's his signature move. And, like, I feel if he used them more often, or better yet, use them like you did when you fought Domon. Like, what happened to the, like, strategy and the, like, I'm trapping you in the torrent of my laser fire? Like, I feel like he's downgraded, like, they get downgraded a bit because of the Shuffle Alliance power. Like, all right, like, if he's relying on it too much. Like, use your rose bits so I can be obnoxious.
I don't need every episode to be like, heat bits, cold bits. Like, no, that's fine.
Or like, because think about it. Domon's got the shining burning finger, the heat fist. Chibity's got his weird Kamehameha punch. So, like, I want to see them get their typical shonen character upgrades, and George didn't. He kind of got a foil. Like, I feel like at this point with the foil, he's in the wrong anime. Like, he's a side boss from Utena at best right now.
No, you know what? I like the foil. I'm going to argue in favor of. I just wondered why he didn't pull out. He does pull a knife during the fist fight with Chapman.
I mean, is that?
But he doesn't pull out his sword.
Is that chivalrous, honestly, for him to have done that?
Yeah, I did kind of wonder about that, but I think that was after he realized he had the DG cells, right? Or am I wrong about that?
Right.
So I feel like at that point you're playing with zombie reincarnation and sort of the rules are out the window a little bit.
Yeah, because Chapman did really react very similarly to the Pharaoh Gundam.
Mm-hmm.
And so doesn't have very many higher processes.
Yeah, back to Hugh's point about not saying much.
Yeah.
But still, like, dapperly dressed.
Oh yeah, he's got to have that swagger. Like he can't forsake the drip just because he's a mindless zombie machine. Like you got to keep that drip. Like you never know. You never know when the cameras will be flashing, and you have to be at your best, even if you are a reincarnated evil zombie pilot of a Gundam.
Well, okay, I would also flip side say that this sort of heavy dress might have been used to cover the signs of syphilis, and now it's useful to cover the signs of DG cells. So,
Also
yesterday's problems, tomorrow's solutions. On the flip side, speaking of problems and solutions, so all of this fight's happening outside the wall. Doma and Rain and the comedic kids are gathered, and usually, I'm not for those kids. Those kids usually bother the crap out of me. But I did find the visual gag of them standing on each other's shoulders to try to look over the wall and not even reaching like a third of the height of the wall pretty funny, because they spend that entire scene standing on each other's shoulders trying to see over the wall. They're not getting any taller. Like, they're just too dumb to figure out that neither of them is going to make... Anyway.
A for effort. A for effort. But also, so in this next scene where he's like, a rat, I smell one. And then George comes over the wall with Marie in his arms. And I'm like, are you saying Marie's the rat? But then it's followed by Chapman, and you're like, oh, okay. But then he says to Allenby, take care of the little ones. And I'm immediately thinking, you're telling Allenby to run with the kids. No, she goes running after the three Great Britain bodyguards.
I love that. She's like, yeah, I got this goon squad. And she goes and beats 3 dudes at once. Whereas, Doman's just got to deal with one.
with
the subtitles, that's not what he said.
She listen. Allenby is subscribed to the Michael Jordan philosophy about children. Fuck them kids. Like, she wasn't worried about them kids at all. At all.
She's just thinking the best defense is a good offense. She takes those guys out of the knees, and it's not going to be a problem.
Right.
And frankly, there wasn't. So, although, okay, on the flip side, Chapman comes over, and of course, him and Doman are going at it. That wall chop where Chapman takes a swipe at Doman and Doman ducks, and then he like slices through a chunk of the wall, Fist of the North Star style. That was pretty fantastic. I did enjoy that whole sequence. Actually, all of the fist fighting with Chapman, for some reason, I really enjoyed.
Like there was something that was very like bendy about it, I think. Like they all seemed to have like slightly too long limbs, but it
that was
worked.
kind of exactly. That was kind of like somehow Chapman was like a lanky 70s dude who, his fighting style was a funky British gentleman.
Oh God, I just had my thoughts. It's because he practiced the fusion martial art of Gymkata.
Well, it does have the thrill of gymnastics and the kill of karate.
It does. But no, the Shuffle Alliance is not making a good case to be on their side. Because, if you get DG cells, you get crazy hand-to-hand powers, you heal, you can cut through walls like your name is Rao. The power scaling on their side is so much better. I don't see what the Shuffle Alliance gets you.
You do become a mindless zombie, though. That is kind of the downside. You're a killing machine, but you don't have any downtime. There's no off hours. There's no vacation.
Yeah, being in the thing where you're shoved into a cockpit of a Zaku and wires go into your eyes and you just become a robot skeleton. Not great.
We need to get on that Master Asia plan, whatever plan he's got, because he just gets gray hair, he got some gray hair, but he was still himself, maybe he's got a different cable package.
He has gray hair, but he also has to absorb the life force of the losers of the battle in order to keep his youthful visage. Otherwise, he turns into a husk, as we all saw.
You don't want to know how many of those horses he's been through.
Oh no.
So, anyway, everybody disperses. The sort of situation ends. It does come out that Sir William is a proper deadman. And then we're on to the fight. Like, they just kind of move it along.
Yeah, like, they're just like, I'm gonna make him pay for this at our fight. Like, no, he murdered a dude. You call the cops.
Yeah, he murdered a servant of the British or French royalty. Like, that's an international crime.
Have we seen a single policeman or, like, official...
Not since episode 1.
Yeah, like that guy in the first episode.
Wasn't
like
he
that
technically
guy.
on the colonies, or am I wrong misremembering that?
No, he was in Italy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The Colosseum or whatever. Oh, God. Yeah,
Oh,
okay.
and speaking of which, we do, like, get a sting shot of Michael Chariot, like, in the tree on the British compound, just being like, you screwed up, but I'll take care of it.
And this is where his attempt at taking care of it is it's a Scooby-Doo disguise. It's just a gas mask.
Well,
like,
it's not a disguise. It's because he gassed the control tower.
He's just like, ha ha ha, and we're like, we know it's huge, Miccolo, and he's like, what?
I don't know if he was really trying to hide his identity. Domon's just like, it's you. I'm like, we all knew Domon. Like,
Yes.
he didn't even cover his hair.
We were all
3 feet
were we
long
all-
red hair.
were we all not praising the control tower's abilities to keep the spectators safe? Like, we just talked about that last episode.
Yeah, no, that is
Yeah.
true. So they did
And
bring that forward.
So we were just like, yeah, I mean, that's amazing. And then, of course, this episode, they go and sabotage it because they want to kill some more royalty.
Yeah, like,
Well, to me, that was really upping the game in interference with the actual tournament aspect. Like, the tournament itself feels like it's increasingly run by FIFA. Like, it's so corrupt and they're just right off the rails.
no, you are 100% correct. Like, if FIFA had a James Bond villain as its head, with his heavy being like, I don't know, what's his name? The Jaw. What's his name?
Lockjaw?
Claptrap?
Yeah, like one of them is the muscle, and he's just biting random spectators and or people not kowtowing to his James Bond villain boss. That would just basically be the show in real life. Like, because he, like, later in the episode, he has a spectacular James Bond villain entrance on the back of a space yacht, just waving at people. Which is where we see the magnificent eyes of the princess see this ring from 1,000 yards away.
The extremely evil ring.
It actually looked like a different ring to me, but anyway, that's a side issue. We'll get back to that. So, yes, to the broader point, that's exactly what we get set up here, is that the French royal family are exposed, only the French royal family, and for whatever reason they decide, well, let's just see how it plays out. And so... and of course, there's what's the dude's name? Miccolo Pizza? What's his name?
Miccolo Chariot.
So back and forth, they're going back and forth. He's basically feeding Chapman all the lines of what to do, right? Like, oh, aren't they looking exposed? You should shoot the French royal family. And so this puts George in a position where, and this part clever is not quite the right word, but putting George in a position where it's chivalry or death, that's actually decent writing, and getting him in that situation. And that big shoulder shield is a cool looking piece of equipment, I'm going to say. So that whole sequence kind of works. And then it finally gets us a little bit of the cohesion that I've been kind of complaining about lacking in the Shuffle Alliance, because at least two of them can be doing something at the same time, because Dolman, of course, decides he's going to go up to the control tower and try to figure out what's going on and get the shield fixed so that George doesn't just have to stand there getting his butt kicked.
Yeah, and I feel like that they had a good use of... Well, I mean, they steal a regular speedboat, but they somehow get it up to the tower level and jump through the window.
Yeah, I never...
The
The tower is huge. It's establishing shots are all over the place that it's like a few hundred feet in the air, and they're like, let's jump this boat. Like, okay.
Well, I mean, so many things just kind of fly in G Gundam for no reason that it's fine.
What we didn't see was that they actually borrowed Chibity's core lander, because it's basically a convertible that flies and can be a boat. So like that, Chibity was like, I'm not going to be in this episode. Me and the girls are taking a little time off, but you can borrow my car.
Does it bother anybody else that the announcer at the matches is not the same announcer that we see at the start of every episode? Like, I don't mind the lady. She's
like,
fine.
I like her, but why isn't she doing the opening?
Yeah. And so to Banks'
They
point,
have prejudice against people who use eye patches that don't actually need them.
I think everything about this announcer is fake. He's not even an announcer. He's just a guy who shows up, probably just has a YouTube channel and takes footage from the various fights. Anyway.
Oh my god, it's the Chris Sumo of Gundam.
I just wanted a moment of appreciation for that sweet, goofy pink plane that I think it's implied the announcer lady's driving around in.
Yeah.
That is super old school, and I love the design. It's not like I was all for that thing.
I was a little sad that it wasn't made of gold, but Dorothy's not in this show. Like,
yeah. If it was Dorothy's, clearly.
Yeah, so it would have been made of 24 karat gold encrusted in diamonds as she carried a musket that she thought forgot how to kill.
So George gets pinned down, and his apology to the royal family is the best. He's like, sorry for the inconvenience of me dying before your eyes. I'll do my best to get this out of the way so it doesn't keep you from dinner or whatever, as he's being slowly murdered by bolts from... I mean, again, as much as I love the melee-style weapon, yeah, it kind of makes sense to just give the John Bull Gundam a gun and let him shoot everybody, because, all right.
It's like, so did anybody else feel like these guys were mismatched once Chapman's Gundam transformed? It felt like this was like a muscular, like super forcibly strong Gundam, so it should have been fighting Argo. Like, I feel like the finesseful techniques of George versus this brute wasn't really there. Like, you would think that, you know what I'm saying? You think this would be like the test of strength for Argo, even though he's got to face his lover.
I was fine with the John Bull Gundam versus George, but it's the interfering moment, right? So we get another one of those smoke bombs, and then another Gundam shows up, which I remember being identified in the episode, although it's kind of escaping me at the moment.
It is the Grand Gundam.
Pretty sweet looking, very, I know I keep referencing Transformers, especially because Chibity's suit looks so much like Optimus Prime, but this one to me was definitely like a, what do they call them, the Constructicons or whatever, like a big chunky piece.
It's a big, like, semi-bipedal hulking thing. It's got, like, spikes on it and cannons and grabber arms.
Way more industrial and chunky than most of the Gundams. I did have half a moment there when it came down, because the arms are so big that I was like, wait, are those crab arms? Are we going into some sort of aquatic fight mode? But no, that was fine. We didn't, even though they were on a little floating island for the fight, they didn't go into cancer or something.
Yeah, but they did function as grabby arms. It was just more of like a hydraulic press almost. Like, and this is one of the few times we see some real damage happen to one of the Gundams, because George basically gets his like leg and like arm kind of crushed as he's fighting this thing, and can only shoot at it with his rose bits and burst the eye of the thing, and that's what
Rose
drives
bits,
it
you're
off.
not getting eyes.
Yes, they're thorny, guys. This is why Tuxedo Mask is the most dangerous of Sailor Moon characters, because those roses have thorns.
But
I don't know if our audience can hear it, but my eyes just rolled in the back of my head.
The ability to set someone on fire is nothing against like a, good thorn in your eye.
Listen, we've seen these ninja powers. Listen, it'll come out of the shadows, slice through some steel, and distract a demon just so your underage girlfriend can kill it with her magical compact of makeup.
Okay, so I do want to say, though, that once was the Grand Gundam, is that it? What it's called?
Yes.
Yeah,
Once it backs off, that reverse smokes up. I actually found that a little bit upsetting. Like, it was just slightly creepy the way it gets, like, subsumed back into the darkness. It seemed like something more out of Evil Dead 2 than, like, G-Fighter. But anyway.
Yeah, that's why I called it kind of a transformation, because we see the wound that he gave the Grand Gundam is on the is in the same place on the John Bull Gundam.
Yeah, so I was unclear because Dolman refers to this attack being very similar to the pterodactyl attack in the previous episode, and that seemed to me to be two different Gundams. So I'm not sure if these are, there's a transformation happening here, or these are coming from the outside.
Well, because remember that the thing they say about the Devil Gundam is that it can, like, grow, it can change, and it can self-repair. So basically the like Michael's like Chariot and Chapman's Gundams, they can transform into other Gundams now.
Oh, okay. That wasn't entirely clear to me, but it makes a lot more sense now. And then, yes, you do get that final shot of, again, I want to just point out a very, to me anyway, effective shot of the John Bull Gundam sort of out and quote-unquote dead. And that one eye, you know, it's kind of the standard, as if it would just have a camera lens behind its eyeball, whatever, very Terminator style, but a really effective shot to me.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that they seem to keep trying to disguise the emergence of these transformed Gundams, and I feel like letting loose a giant black smoke cloud would kind of tip the audience off. Like, I feel like they're going to be like, what's going on? Like, why does this keep happening?
Frankly, I don't know if it's an attempt to save on the animation budget, but I was confused. I didn't understand if it was a transformation or if it was an outside interference situation. So, I mean, anyway. So at that point, we get the parade of boats. And while they're standing on the dock, first the royal family boat goes by, and then on, like, a sweet Miami Vice, like, we clearly got this from the Escobars boat, Master Asia and the mayor come by, and dun dun dun, the princess recognizes that the mayor is wearing the murder ring.
So, and they immediately go to the king of France with this note, but oddly, we don't get, like, the British king. Like we don't get the King of England, who...
Well, and I think by this time the monarchy in England has probably been disintegrated, and the Prime Minister has better things to do.
But it came back in France, is the thing.
It came back in France because they realized that aristocracy is just pretty, and that's it.
No politics, only vibes.
Yeah, because they're still just as useless, because he's like, forget about it, kid. He could kick us out at any time. We gotta let this one go. And you're like, he murdered an international, he killed a member of your international court. Like,
we can't do anything about it because, you know, he rules all of outer space.
Yes.
Well, I don't know if you noticed, but that ring looked like a human eye.
Space. Yes.
So, it looked like a serpent eye to me, but...
Okay, yeah, I guess. It looked like some sort of eye. Like, why is he wearing... Anyway.
And he's definitely
because he is secretly Aragorn, son of Arathorn, and will be the king of Minas Tirith and Gondor.
Well, and that's why they can't go against him.
He's wearing it on his left ring finger, so that is, like, I want to assume that's his wedding ring, and they had, like, a very sweet goth wedding.
Aww.
Yeah, see, Master Asia is actually fighting for his relationship with him. That's what it is.
Got
they
it.
definitely had, like, a Pocky bar at the reception that Wong, like, lobbied hard for.
But here's the thing about Chairman Wong, and I'm going to skip a little bit towards the end after, you know, it's hopeless with the with the French royals, because we've had this kind of instance happen in this show before, or probably in this show, where someone says, I will be eternal. And I'm like, you just jinxed yourself. There you go.
Yeah.
So,
Very
Chairman
true.
Wong, I'm sorry you have uttered the jinx words. We shall now commence with your demise.
Yep.
Inspector
Counting
Oct thought he
down.
was internal too.
Oh, poor Inspector Oct.
I'm telling you though, he wouldn't put up with this murder between matches nonsense. He's a
No.
straight murder
No,
during
not at
matches
all.
kind of fella. Anyway, does that bring us to our favorite moments?
Yeah, that
Indeed.
does wrap us up for today.
Think so. What's yours?
My favorite moment, absolutely Chapman exploding through the wall and the reaction of, how rude.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
Well, he did lay his zombie hand on the Princess of Space France.
What
It's true.
about you, Banks? What was your favorite moment?
Honestly, like, the fact that like, this show knows where it needs to be. So when Domon heads off Michelob Chariot in the tower to have Rain turn back on the shield, they just bicycle kick each other to no avail. Like, they're just flailing in the air at each other. Like, and I was just like, they know what we want. Like, it's fine. Because it's literally like two Liu Kangs going at each other, but not hitting anything. And it just really was really funny to me.
I was for that sequence, but I totally agree.
And Spence, what was yours?
I don't have one. I was not particularly interested in this thing, in this episode. It was like, called it. Like, it felt very predictable the moment that you see Marie show up. So it's like a Buffy episode, and Dawn's been kidnapped. Must be Thursday, kind of thing. So yeah, it was a little too predictable for me. Maybe the lock on thing, that made me chuckle a little bit, but other than that, I don't really have one.
These guys need more gadgets. Like, can't they take a book out of Duo's playbook and get us some cool, like, spinny blade umbrella transportation?
There is only one Duo, and he is my Captain Sassy Pants.
Yes. Although I don't know why they needed to bring Rain with them to turn the shield back on, because it was just flip that switch. Which one? The one that's not flipped?
Allenby could have kicked it down while fighting somebody, with those long legs of hers.
Yeah. Like, and I do like that, like, at the end of that sequence, we just see sort of like Chapman and Whitby just like knocked into the water, and nothing, like their Team Rocket, like,
yeah.
You got it, sweet Domon.
I'll get you next time,
Team
gadget.
DG blasting off again.
My favorite part of this episode was definitely George and the King of France preparing to go to the British embassy to resolve this international incident and to solve this mystery, because like someone has died and something very wrong is going on, and Princess Marie's just was like, I'm in charge now. Well, I'll take care of it. I'm in the limo. Yoink. Let's go. Where are we going?
Okay, I'm bored. I wish I had lunch.
Oh, man. Like, so bizarre, some of the things that happen in these shows. Like, also, there's no way in hell the King of France or the Princess of France are coming to a highly violent sporting event. They have flat screen TVs and satellite dishes for this stuff. Like, they should be watching this for the safety of the space colony.
You know that they do the same thing with modern day royalty and heads of state. They go to these things to be seen with the people. It is a publicity stunt and a clout. It is clout. I can afford to be here.
Okay, but on the flip side, I can basically control everything in my household with a phone app at this point. These dudes are using a manual switch to turn on the massive safety shields. Like, you gotta go flip that one bad boy down to the control panel to turn that thing on.
Hey, if you've not seen the new Hellraiser yet, you should, because wait for it, a switch undoes someone in that movie.
No, yeah, I have to check that out.
Like, it's, for some reason, a single a single flipped or unflipped switch can be lethal. I don't know why. Like, in this day and age, like, where you have giant space-faring robots that can shoot Kamehameha waves at each other, you still need to toggle a manual switch. Instead of just being like, I don't know, Siri, turn on the shield, please.
Much less dramatic that way.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Hope they have Safe Light for the John Bull Gundam. It's going to need to get that eye shield replaced.
Well, you know who could have, like, taken down the John Bull Gundam? Karen. Because she lost her whole head and she was fine.
That is true. That is totally true.
Gods, I miss Karen.
Well,
she's stuck in 1980s Vietnam or whatever.
By the way, you guys weren't very far off when you made the Team Rocket analogy, because Michelob Chariot does have Jessie levels of red long hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. G Gundam. It's a thing. With lots of stuff.
Hugh, where's that outro script?
So, thanks for listening. You can find all of our show notes over at nostalgiapilots.com. Technically, you can still find us on Twitter if Twitter's still a thing at this point. Find everything I do through my Linktree. That's linktr.ee/Hugh J. O'Donnell. And find me back on Tumblr at Hatching Phoenix.
Wow.
Wow, fun. You can find me at Skinner.fm, including probably my Mastodon link.
You can just find me over at nimlas.org and at nerdswithvoices.com. And I promise, once this semester's over, I will start yelling into a microphone again. I promise.
I'll make sure he does it. And you can find me at resonantmoon.com or my link tree, which is also Resonant Moon. Somebody on Hive took my Resonant Moon already. Oh, not Hive. I have Hive. No, it was a game because I'm playing Ghostbusters Spirits Unlimited, and somebody took my Resonant Moon moniker, and I was very upset. But I'm Resonant Moon pretty much everywhere. So.
And join us next week for Mobile Fighter G Gundam episode 34, Dangerous Trap. I'm sorry, Stand Up Domon Raging Tag Team Match.
Yay! So who are we predicting? Jurd, we haven't seen this, so who are we predicting is going to be in the tag team match? Obviously, it's going to be Argo and his lover.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I'm not even... Okay, we have to finally get a Doman match. I feel like this is an excuse to finally get Doman back in a fight, right? Like,
right.
That's one half of the...
Because Argo is out of the competition now. He lost.
Oh, yeah, although that doesn't seem to be stopping anybody else. But yeah, all right, that's a good point.
So it would be Argo and somebody who's still in it, which I think the Lumberjack Gundam is still in it. And then maybe Doban and Allenby?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I like that idea.
That would be a fun team up, I think.
I think we have sort of seen little bits where... George and Chibity have like teamed up, so that's my ship. I mean, that's my prediction.
I'd ship it. I would ship it hard.
Listen, we already know that it's actually going to be a polyamorous relationship between all of the girls from Chibity, Allenby, and Rain. And they're just going to take all the Gundams and they're going to finish this show up in 3 episodes and then go off to be happy in the sunset, guys. That's what it's going to be. Because none of these guys are dependable. None of them. Like, George is kind of dependable, but Domon's trash. Chibity only shows up when he wants to or when the girls make him. Like, it's fine. These ladies are going to just do it themselves.
And that's the end of the episode right there.
Good night.